My company Innovatech was my life's work. I built it from nothing. Sarah, my wife, was always by my side. Mark, my best friend, ran operations. We were a team, a family. I trusted them completely more than anyone. I had poured everything into Innovatech, long hours, sleepless nights, every dollar I earned. We had grown from a small startup to a respected name in tech. Our future felt secure, prosperous. I felt proud of what we achieved. A routine financial report landed on my desk. A small anomaly caught my eye. A vendor payment seemed off by a few thousand. I made a mental note to check it later. It was probably just a clerical error. I thought about Sarah, her unwavering support. I thought about Mark, his loyalty since college. My trust in them was absolute. They were the two people I relied on most. This small issue could not be connected to them. Days later, an automated audit flag appeared. A larger, more significant transaction was questioned. Funds transferred to an unfamiliar offshore account. This was not a clerical error. This raised a serious concern. I brought it up to Mark and Sarah. They looked at each other. Mark quickly explained it was a new strategic investment, a sensitive project. Sarah nodded, confirming his words. Their story felt a little too practiced. I pushed my unease aside. The stress of running a company could make anyone jumpy. I told myself it was just my imagination. They were my family. They would never do anything to harm me or Innovatech. I tried to believe it, but a small seed of doubt had been planted. It began to grow quietly, like a persistent whisper in the back of my mind. The perfect image of my life, my business, my relationships started to show tiny cracks. I couldn't ignore it forever. Later that week, I checked our shared personal bank account. A charge for an exclusive boutique hotel stood out. Sarah never stayed at places like that. It was too expensive, not her style. My gut tightened. The pieces did not fit. Sarah was meticulous with money. This expense was completely unlike her. A cold certainty began to settle in my stomach. I knew I had to uncover the truth, whatever it might be. There would be consequences. The hotel charge from our shared account lingered in my mind. It was a clear deviation from Sarah's usual habits. I started my quiet investigation immediately, focusing on our personal finances first. This was the first thread I needed to pull. Next, I turned my attention to the company's records. The small vendor anomaly from weeks ago now seemed like a signal. I reviewed internal transaction logs looking for patterns. The initial issues were just the surface. What I found quickly escalated. Funds were moving through complex, interconnected accounts. It was not simple error. This was deliberate manipulation, a carefully constructed web of transactions designed to obscure the true destination. It was sophisticated. I worked in isolation late into the night. I confided in no one. My trust in Sarah and Mark, once absolute, now lay shattered. A cold emptiness settled in as the evidence mounted. I felt utterly alone in this discovery. Then came the undeniable proof. I uncovered transfers routed through Mark's department disguised as project expenses. These funds then moved into a joint personal account I shared with Sarah. The pattern of their coordinated actions was becoming chillingly clear. The scale of the betrayal became devastatingly real. My personal wealth, built over decades, was systematically vanishing. Years of savings, my financial security, all eroded. The emotional toll was immense, a deep sense of loss and profound shock. Past conversations replayed in my mind. Their casual remarks, their shared glances now took on a sinister new meaning. Every memory, every shared laugh felt tainted by their calculated lies. Their manipulation had been relentless and long-term. I knew I needed professional expertise. I contacted a private, discreet forensic accounting firm. I framed it as a routine operational audit for Innovatech. This would ensure a thorough and unbiased investigation of the facts. The forensic team began their work quietly, meticulously sifting through years of financial data. They promised a comprehensive and confidential report. I waited with a grim resolve, knowing the full truth was about to be laid bare. Regardless of the consequences, the preliminary report arrived. It detailed a systematic pattern of asset stripping spanning years, implicating both Sarah and Mark directly. My worst fears were confirmed. This was a coordinated, ruthless scheme. Justice would be my only path forward. The preliminary report from the forensic team lay open. It confirmed my worst fears. The scale of their deception hit me fully. My entire life savings gone, my company's future compromised. The emotional and financial devastation felt absolute. I thought back to Sarah. Our wedding day, our plans for retirement, the quiet evenings we shared. Every tender memory now felt like a cruel, calculated performance. Her smile, her words of comfort, all part of the act. Then Mark came to mind, my best friend, my business partner. We built Innovatech from nothing. We shared dreams of success and expansion. His betrayal cut just as deep. His loyalty was a carefully crafted illusion. Grief washed over me, a heavy wave. It was quickly followed by a cold, burning anger. But I pushed the raw emotion aside. This was not about feeling, it was about consequences. My resolve hardened into steel. I began to gather my own personal evidence. I went through old bank statements, credit card records, and investment accounts. I found hidden transactions, small at first, then growing larger. They were systematically draining everything. Property records revealed a new deed purchased years ago. It was not in our names. Communication logs showed encrypted messages, frequent and clandestine. Their secret financial future was meticulously planned down to every detail. I knew they would deny everything. They would present a united front of innocence. My proof had to be undeniable. Every piece of evidence needed to be solid, irrefutable. I needed to anticipate their every move. I started compiling a comprehensive dossier. It was a digital vault, secured and hidden. Every email, every transfer, every purchased asset, every communication log went into it. This was my foundation for justice. Then I found it. A hidden offshore account linked through a series of shell companies. A substantial sum had vanished into its depths. This was their ultimate escape route, a safe haven for their stolen fortune. That offshore account funded a significant property purchase. A luxury villa far away. It was under a shell company name, but the connections were clear. Their new life built with my stolen fortune. This would not stand. I would ensure they faced full accountability. The discovery of the luxury villa purchased with my stolen funds solidified my resolve. I knew I needed to operate completely in the shadows. My first step was to secure all digital evidence. I spent days meticulously backing up every server log, every communication record, every financial transaction from Innovatech systems. This had to be done without a trace. My advanced tech skills became my shield. I created a secure, encrypted network, completely separate from the company's main infrastructure. This allowed me to monitor Sarah and Mark's digital footprints without their knowledge. I watched their emails, their shared documents, their online activities. Every click, every message was a potential piece of the puzzle. I knew I couldn't navigate the legal and financial complexities alone. I discreetly contacted a small, highly reputable team of legal and financial strategists. We met in an unmarked office far from my usual circles. I outlined the full extent of the betrayal, emphasizing the financial scheme and the personal devastation. Confidentiality was our absolute priority. Together, we began to construct the blueprint for reclamation. My plan was not just about recovering assets. It was about exposing their calculated deception to the fullest extent. We discussed strategies for asset freezes, for civil litigation, and for potential criminal referrals. Every step was carefully considered, every consequence weighed. The despair I felt initially had transformed into a calm, focused determination. My focus shifted entirely from emotional pain to meticulous, calculated planning. Their professional and financial downfall was no longer a hope, but a meticulously engineered outcome. I would reclaim what was stolen, and they would face the full consequences of their actions. Within Innovatech, I began making tactical moves. I restructured departments, subtly reassigning key roles and reconfiguring access permissions. These changes appeared routine, part of a new efficiency drive. But each adjustment was designed to slowly, systematically reduce Mark's influence and control, preparing the ground for his inevitable removal. I held several meetings with Mark discussing the new organizational structure. He seemed oblivious, even pleased by the increased efficiency. He nodded, agreed, and smiled. I knew he saw these changes as my continued trust, not as the slow tightening of a net. His overconfidence was a critical advantage for my strategy. Simultaneously, I established a new, secure financial infrastructure for Innovatech. All major transactions now required my direct, multi-factor authorization. I implemented new audit protocols that would flag any unusual activity immediately. No further illicit transactions could occur without my explicit knowledge and approval. The financial bleeding had stopped. My legal team and I finalized a comprehensive strategy. We focused on freezing their discovered assets, ensuring they couldn't move any more of my stolen money. We also prepared the detailed filings for a complex civil litigation, seeking full restitution and damages. The evidence was overwhelming and the case was airtight. With everything in place, I initiated the first phase of legal actions. The civil suit was filed and the asset freeze orders were prepared for immediate execution. We also prepared the criminal referrals detailing the fraud and embezzlement. The public exposure of their elaborate scheme was now imminent. The process of reclamation had officially begun. The boardroom was quiet. I presented the forensic audit findings. Mark shifted in his seat, his face pale. The evidence of financial irregularities was clear, undeniable. His immediate suspension was approved by the board. I watched him, seeing a flicker of fear in his eyes. The company issued a press release. It spoke of corporate restructuring and an investigation into financial irregularities. No names were mentioned yet. The market reacted with caution. My team worked to stabilize investor confidence. This was just the first wave of exposure. I directed my public relations team. Key media contacts received anonymous tips. The focus was on unethical practices discovered within Innovatech. The narrative was carefully controlled. We aimed for questions, not direct accusations, yet this was strategic. Sarah's name stayed out of the initial leaks. This was a deliberate choice. Her turn would come later. The focus remained on the company's integrity and Mark's operational role. It built a solid foundation for the revelations that were to follow. My legal team filed the first set of motions. The court documents detailed the intricate financial scheme. The evidence was overwhelming, leaving no room for doubt. The formal legal process had officially begun. There was no turning back for them. Mark and Sarah were caught completely off guard. Their carefully constructed alibis began to crumble under the weight of the evidence. My network reported their frantic calls. Panic was clearly setting in. They had underestimated my preparation and resolve. I stepped forward publicly. I held meetings to reassure our investors and employees. Innovatech was stable, I told them. We would overcome this challenge with integrity. My voice was calm, confident. I projected strength and control. Internally, we prepared for the next wave of consequences. Legal teams refined their strategies for asset recovery. Financial experts readied for a comprehensive audit. This was a multifaceted operation. Every detail was considered for maximum impact. I orchestrated a press conference. I spoke calmly of transparency and ethical governance. I outlined our commitment to corporate integrity. This further isolated Mark and Sarah in the public eye. The narrative was shifting decisively against them. Intelligence came in. Mark and Sarah were attempting to liquidate their newly acquired assets. They were planning to flee. This confirmed their desperation. My next, more devastating phase of the plan was now activated. Their escape would be short-lived. My legal team moved swiftly. Court orders were issued simultaneously. Injunctions froze every known asset belonging to Mark and Sarah. Their desperate attempt to flee was now effectively blocked. I felt a quiet, controlled satisfaction. The intelligence reports confirmed their assets were inaccessible. Their frantic calls to move funds had ceased. Their plans for a new life funded by my stolen wealth had completely collapsed. The harsh reality of their situation began to sink in for them. The court documents were now public record. Sarah's name was irrevocably linked to the intricate financial scheme. Major media outlets picked up the story quickly. The narrative of her calculated betrayal spread rapidly. The public reaction was swift and decisive. Social media buzzed with widespread condemnation. Their carefully crafted reputations crumbled completely. The professional and social isolation they faced was now absolute, a direct consequence of their actions. I gave an exclusive interview to a major business publication. I spoke calmly, detailing the financial scheme and my journey to uncover the truth. I presented a narrative of resilience and unwavering professional integrity. It was crucial to control the public message. The published article resonated deeply with the public. Sympathy shifted decisively in my favor. Innovatech stock saw a positive bounce, reflecting renewed confidence. My decisive actions and transparency reassured all investors. My leadership was clearly affirmed. My financial team initiated the meticulous process of asset reclamation. Every available legal avenue was being explored with precision. We aimed for full restitution of all stolen funds. This was about restoring what was rightfully mine down to the last dollar. The Innovatech board issued a clear, unequivocal public statement. They officially severed all remaining ties with Mark. His fraudulent activities were denounced unequivocally without hesitation. The company stood united against such deliberate deception. My legal counsel informed me of new, significant developments. Mark and Sarah faced not only overwhelming civil charges. Criminal indictments for fraud and embezzlement were now imminent. The stakes had risen dramatically for them. Their envisioned new lives were now completely shattered beyond repair. The full consequences of their calculated choices were undeniable. They had lost everything they sought to gain and much more. This was the justice I had meticulously engineered. The court delivered its verdict. Mark and Sarah stood condemned. Their carefully constructed lies crumbled under the weight of evidence. The legal consequences for their actions were severe and undeniable. News channels broadcast their downfall. Their names became synonymous with betrayal and fraud. Every professional door was now closed to them permanently. Their reputations, once carefully built, were utterly destroyed. Innovatech experienced a significant resurgence. Investor confidence soared, reflected in our rising stock. Our employees felt a renewed sense of purpose and trust. The company had emerged stronger and more resilient. I addressed the company and the media. My message was clear and firm. I spoke of resilience, integrity, and ethical conduct. Our commitment to transparency was unwavering. The emotional scars from their betrayal remained. They were a part of my past now, yet a profound peace settled within me. The justice achieved brought a sense of true closure. My integrity and standing were fully restored. The public recognized my unwavering resolve. I had navigated the most profound betrayal imaginable. My professional reputation was now unassailable. I began to meticulously rebuild my personal life. I focused on genuine connections and new friendships. The past served as a lesson, not a burden. My future felt open and full of possibility. New corporate governance frameworks were established. They would prevent any future financial manipulations. This was a lasting legacy of my ordeal. Innovatech was now truly secure. I stood on the precipice of a new chapter. I was forever changed by the experience, yet I was unyielding in my spirit. My vision for the future was clear and strong. Mark and Sarah lost everything they coveted. Their carefully constructed new lives were shattered beyond repair. My strategic brilliance ensured their complete and utter downfall. The last word, undeniably, was mine.